Hi, it's Jennifer Henry, your host for the Game Changer Real Estate Podcast. We're continuing our series where I get the honor of interviewing my very own game changers, my real estate agents here in Jacksonville, Florida. I'm having a lot of fun with this, and I love it because I get to hear new things from all of them and have conversations with them we're not having off camera. So it's a good excuse to just really kind of dig in. Today's guest is a sweet, kind, but fiery soul who has been licensed for longer than a minute. She's not brand new. She just had her first closing with us recently and is really starting to pick up some speed. I've been watching it. It's pretty exciting. Let me go ahead and rip off the Band-Aid. My guest today is the wonderful, the beautiful Rachel Raymond. Hi, Rachel. How are you today?
Hi, I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm great. Always honored and delighted to have you on here and have a conversation with you. You and I have had over the last few months some deep, good conversations about life.
Absolutely.
Yep. And one thing I can always appreciate about you, Rachel, is your ability to be coachable and also very self-aware and willing to put in the work that it takes to be your best self, which I can say is like, this about me. It's like the number one job you have in this business, right?
Absolutely.
So Rachel, for our audience today, will you share, how long have you been in the business?
So I got licensed in June of 2022.
Okay. So we're
over a year.
A little over a year. Okay. Very good. So you're not brand spanking new. You've been baptized by fire. you know. So I'm going to just start this episode with the same way that I have with the others. And that is asking you the key question, which is, if you were a brand new agent starting all over again, what is one thing that you wished you had known that you can share for others that can learn that now? What would that be?
Gosh, there's several things that I think are really important. And I guess I would start with embracing who you are. I know that that's been discussed already, but I do think that it's really important that, you actually had in one of our coaching sessions had went over, finding your color blue, which I know we've talked about, I think was really impactful for me. And, it's not a secret that everyone knows a lot of realtors. That's what I hear over and over. I know a dozen realtors. Well, great. But, embracing what you bring to the table as an agent, and that no one actually has what you have. And so just embracing that the people that are meant for you will find you and that you will find your people. And you don't need to bend and flex to try to suit everyone's needs. You just have to live in your strengths and know that the people that are meant for you will be there.
Yeah, you really have embraced that, Rachel. For our audience today, you can go back probably a year and find an episode. I don't even remember what it's called, where I talk about the color blue. And I might even have you do that exercise here on an episode. But for those that haven't heard that episode, and if I can put you on the spot, do you mind sharing what you mean by your color blue, like how we did that and kind of what that felt like for you?
Yeah, so there were a few different people in the room, and you had us all close our eyes and envision our favorite color blue. And we sat with that for a minute, and then you said, okay, now open your eyes and I want you to describe that color blue for me. And, mine was like a turquoise, aqua blue. Someone else's was a navy blue. Another person was a cobalt blue. Yours was sky blue. And, just saying, if you were to lay all these out on a color wheel, naturally someone's going to be drawn to one of those colors. And it doesn't mean that they don't like the other colors. They just are drawn to one particular color. So, trying to embrace what your color is and living that out fully, because yes, you can go around and try to be navy blue or aqua blue or cobalt blue or sky blue, but all you're going to do is run yourself crazy in the end. And you're going to be, not everyone is meant to get along, and you're not suited for every single personality type. And so just embracing that, my aqua blue is right for me and it's right for the people that are drawn to me.
Yeah. I think the next time I teach that class, I'm going to have you come teach it. I think you just did a really phenomenal job of replaying kind of how I run that. And you most certainly took the lesson away that I wanted, which was to just embrace who you are. And I believe that when you own your brand, no one can touch it. There is no competition. So Rachel, what is your shade of blue? What does that mean to you? What have you discovered in this year and a month or so of being a licensed real estate agent?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think just saying, you know what, I'm sweet and fiery and embracing that, the strengths that I have, I don't always necessarily view as strengths, that. And we all struggle with our mindset and, questioning ourselves, especially as a new agent, you wonder, am I good enough? You had given us a activity one day or a worksheet that, was the thoughts daily of a real estate agent. I mean, and the roller coaster ride that takes place in your mind is just exhausting. But, living in that, my strengths are, yeah, I might be fiery, but that plays out well when you have to negotiate or when you have to have those tough conversations. And I don't shy away from those tough conversations. I'm not looking for them, but when they come my way, I can handle them and get through it. And, I'm also fun. I like to enjoy the people that I'm working with. You're going to be, best friends for a few months. And so you might as well enjoy the process and enjoy each other's company. So that's what my color is. Everybody's different. But yeah.
I love your color blue. And it's clear to me that it works because you put in the work in the last 6-8 months. I don't even know how long you've been here now, but you've put in the work. And how long would you say, Rachel, that you've had to put in the work? You know what I mean by that? I'm doing air quotes for those of you that are just getting the audio here. How long does one have to put in the work to see results in your opinion?
Well, so, we're told 90 days. What you do today really shows up in 90 days. And, that was the other thing that I wanted to speak on. You say putting in the work. As a new agent, that's something that is so important. You get into it, thinking, and I didn't think this. I had a lot of friends that were in the industry, so I knew that it was work. But, I think some people get into it thinking it's a, get rich quick scheme. They're going to get in. They post on Facebook or Instagram or wherever that they've got their license, and now everyone is going to buy and sell immediately. Everyone's going to drop what they're doing and, sell their house, and they're going to use them. And that's just not the case at all. You have to really have tenacity, and you have to work for what you want, and you have to immerse yourself in gaining as much knowledge as you can. And that for me is listening to podcasts, reading books, listening to Audible books, having important conversations with my amazing broker, talking to other agents, all of that, immersing yourself as much as you can in the culture of it and learning as much as you can to grow your knowledge so that you can go out there with confidence and, feel like you know what you're talking about. But yeah, as far as putting the work in and making your contacts and reaching out to people and, doing all the things that you're supposed to do, it takes time. 90 days is supposedly is, but, I've been licensed for over a year and, I've had a couple closings now, but I haven't had dozens. And, but you have to be consistent. Something that I think was really important that you said was, if you went to work, if you had a regular clock in, clock out job, and you didn't show up for 2 or 3 days and weren't doing your job, you would be out of a job. And when in this business, if you're not doing those things every single day consistently, getting out of bed, making your contacts, getting out into the world, talking to people about real estate, posting on social media, sending all your stuff out, all the things, if you're not doing that consistently, then you're slowly putting yourself out of business. So, yeah, you have to put the work in every single day. So is it 90 days? I don't know, maybe it's a little bit longer, but it's sticking with the process and knowing that everything you're doing matters. And just because it might not feel like it's mattering today, it takes time. And there's a book that I read, The Slight Edge, that I think is really great. And they talk in that about, what's the one, if you were getting in shape and you were lifting weights daily, 6 months down the road, what was the one push-up that really set you over the edge? Well, there's not one push-up that you did that put you over the edge. It's all the work combined. And that's just the same in this industry is, you have to do the work consistently for a long time to have it show. But when it does, it really starts to take effect and starts working.
Yeah, as evidenced by your current reality. Well, watch this one. And so Rachel, let's talk about that 90 days if we can. So I preach 90 days, and I think I need to clarify, and I know you know this too, that 90 days is from the day that you're consistently working the same activities on rinse and repeat, the complete monotony of the mastery of this business. So when new agents get in, it isn't 90 days from the day you get your license. It's 90 days. So you've got your onboarding. Well, you got to get your license. Then you've got your onboarding. Then you've got joining the board. Then you've got to learn everything. Then you've got to get past your own mindset of fear. Then you've got to deal with the vacation you had planned. Then you get sick because you overpartied at the vacation. Then you get back into training, and it takes you 3 weeks to get your head back in the game. And then you start. Then it's 90 days.
Yes.
That's and so for everyone listening, 90 days is kind of the magic number in this industry from the day that your head is in the game to the day you can start seeing results. And again, don't like mark off days on the calendar and expect to have a listing on day 90, but it may be day 60, it may be day 32. So, but generally speaking, that's what it looks like. And I've seen it over and over and over again. And also I'll say, Rachel, this is what I'm watching you experience, is that it isn't maybe necessarily closings or money in the bank, but it's seeing hope on the horizon. It's seeing that it's working. It's seeing the fruits of your labor. So for you, maybe it isn't a dozen closings, but what is working for you? What are you seeing as hope for your future, and what is coming for you?
Yeah, I've had success in reaching out to people, but now having people reach out to me is
Amen.
where you start to see that's where you feel like, okay, all right, it's actually working. What I'm doing, it's working. It's just taking time. And I've said all along, it just takes time, but that's what you have to, that's your mantra. As a new agent, you have to, it takes time. It takes time. It takes time. That you just keep reminding yourself of that it will eventually pay off. You're being consistent and doing those things every single day. But yeah, having people reach out to me has been the part that I'm like, oh, okay.
I love it. So that's your indicator.
Yeah.
That's you.
Yeah. And having things in the pipeline, that's like, like I said, I didn't expect to get in and have, a dozen closing straight out of the gate, but, knowing, okay, I have some things lined up. And, the other thing too, is I'm just not a pushy person. So when it comes to buying and selling homes, it's a big life change for people, and it's not something the average person does every single day. So, just taking your time with people and knowing that like when the time is right for them, just being that person for them, being the support system for them to help them through when it's right for them.
Yeah. And all the conversations you have with people, it's not about converting them to a sale. It's about establishing mind share with them so that when they make the decision to buy or sell, they think of you. And that's really our job, is to create that mind share space in someone's brain that says, Realtor Rachel. And that's really what the work is. So I want to rewind for a moment and go back to something you said, which was the slight edge about the one push-up that pushed you over the edge. Mm-hmm. I think someone listening to here could argue that there is one conversation you have that someone agrees to work with you. I'll give you an example. I went to a women's networking event one evening years ago when I was selling, and I didn't want to go because I had to pay money to go, and I was tired. I don't like doing things in the evenings, to be honest, because I get up so early, I get tired so quickly in the day. But by 6 o'clock, I'm kind of done with people. I mean, it's just kind of my energy cycle. Right. And I went to this thing and I was like, oh, I don't want to go. But I went and I'm like, have a good attitude, go mingle with people. I went and I had a great time, had a great dinner in a beautiful location. I got in the elevator and I was headed down the elevator to go home. And in the elevator, one lady said, did you enjoy the event? And I said, I did. Did you? She said, yes, I did. And what is your role? And I said, I'm a realtor. And she's like, oh, I want to sell my house. By the time I got to the bottom floor, because we were on the 17th floor of this place, by the time I got to the bottom floor, she had agreed to come out and meet her. And it turns out she was 2 listings, high dollar listings That one conversation absolutely created an opportunity for me. So if in the realm of exercise, we could say those were push-ups, that would be the one. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
Okay. However, I'm going to go back to what you said. I'm also going to disagree with what I just said and say that every conversation you have builds you internally and externally for that one conversation. Because I will tell you, if I had had that one conversation in that elevator with her 2-3 years prior, without the experience, without the scripts, without the confidence of all the conversations I'd had, I probably wouldn't have had it.
Absolutely.
That makes sense.
Absolutely. So I had not two listings, but I did have a similar experience, and that had a full conversation with someone the day after actually I joined Game Changer. And she said, listen, I've been in the industry for a long time. How, not in real estate, but in property management. And she said, I know a dozen realtors. And so how do you choose a realtor to work with? And I went back to your color blue. And I said, you just really have to go with your gut. And contractually, it's kind of black and white, but who resonates with you? Who do you feel like can be most effective to get the job done for you? And who do you like? And trust with all your information. That's what it all comes down to. And she chose to work with me. And so, like you said, yes, that was one that was a real boost for my confidence of like, oh, okay, it's working. And me just being me is enough. That's enough to have people choose me. But it was because I had been consistent in those conversations and getting out there and just having conversations with people that I felt confident enough to have that conversation. So yes, it's dual-sided, that it's not just one conversation, it's lots of conversations, but one conversation can be a good motivator.
Absolutely. Well, it's almost the peak of the accumulation of what you've accrued. And so for you, that one conversation was a buildup of confidence.
Mm-hmm.
It was a buildup of multiple conversations that taught you what to say, what not to say. But I'll also say, as a professional trainer and coach, I will also say that was the result of you going to a training, because you had gone to that unique value proposition training and learned about that color blue, because we've talked about it twice on this episode.
Right.
Use that language with her that helped her see and understand something to choose you. So
and that's what I was saying about the education piece of it, is getting in there, immersing yourself in all that so you can learn as much as you can.
Yeah, so that's the accumulation too.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden one day something pops, but it doesn't just pop because you sat on your couch and watched Netflix all day. It popped because you were putting in the work. So back to that quote, put in the work. And
Correct.
To use what you said, it's making contacts, it's layering education and knowledge, it's showing up in your community, it's being who you want to be in the future today, right? Even if you don't feel like it, Rachel?
Especially if you don't feel like it.
What happens when you get in your head and you don't feel like it and you don't do it? What happens, Rachel?
You don't see results from that. You start fulfilling the lies that you have in your head. Whatever you're telling yourself is what you're going to make happen. So you can, like you said, you can decide. To decide is to kill off every other option. Side is, pesticide, whatever. You get to decide to choose your truth. And so you get to choose and decide that, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to put the work in, or I'm going to sit on the couch and eat potato chips and watch Netflix, but you're not going to get sales that way.
So the moral of the story is trust the process,
Mm-hmm.
put in the work. No, start with put in the work, trust the process.
Yes.
And the results will follow. And it isn't a magic pill. It does take time. Rachel's evidence of that in terms of the time and effort she's put in. One of the beautiful, beautiful things about being a leader of this organization and getting to lead my agents like Rachel to what they desire most is that I get to see the struggle. And I will tell you guys that a real estate agent oftentimes looks poised on the top of the water, gliding across the top of the water on social media. But under the water, those little legs are going. and it's a doggy paddle to keep this going. And Rachel, you do it with a lot of grace. I can say that one of the things I admire about you is you show up when you say you are. You show up to your business, you show up to training, you show up to coaching. When you say you're going to do it, you do it. And I can't help but think that that doesn't show up with your customers too.
Well, thank you very much. Yes, I try to, put my money where my mouth is, and I have to show up and do the things if I want to get the results, and I want to get the results, and I want to help people in the process. And to what you were saying, doggy paddling, we call that ducky. I'm just ducky. Calm on the surface, paddle them like hell underneath.
That's a good way to put it. That is ducky. That's a good way to put it. And I mean, that's what this is like. So no one's immune. No one gets to escape this. No one gets a get out of jail free card. We all have to put in the work, to use the quote yet again, and show up for it. But here's Rachel's evidence that you can do that and have a family and have other businesses and do all the things and yet still be a productive real estate agent. So Rachel, what does the future look like for you in the next, say, 6 months?
I am super hopeful about the future. It's looking sunny. I'm
Great.
excited for all that's to come. I have, I've been working hard and putting the time in, and I've got a lot of things going on that I'm really excited about. So hoping to be able to make some big life shifts. So it's exciting.
It really is. I mean, we just, right before we recorded this, we had our coaching session, and she and I talked a little bit about her pipeline and her goals and really just her overall approach to her life and her business. And you're making big moves, and I love what you're doing. And I know what's coming for you. I see it. I feel it. There's an energy shift in people when things start working and they start believing they're working. And
Well,
I see it.
I will say too, I think a huge piece of being successful in this business is getting with the right brokerage and getting with the right brokerage for you. And, I was with another brokerage previously that I loved. I have nothing bad to say. I loved them. But for me personally, I needed more accountability. I needed more coaching. I needed more one-on-one time, because I didn't know what I don't know what I don't know. And so I needed someone to kind of hold my hand. It's a lot to learn. So make sure that you're finding the right brokerage for you that's going to invest in you to help you through everything, because it's not easy.
Yeah. I think that choosing the brokerage is probably the biggest decision you'll make when it comes to securing your future in this industry. I don't say that to say come join Game Changer, because I don't believe we're the right brokerage for every single person. But I do believe that as a new agent, finding a brokerage with support, and by support, I mean proven support, not someone who says they're going to be there for you, but really has a track record of doing that and has a track record of producing results, is really important. So before you choose splits, before you choose fees, choose leadership. That's going to be the key. And I'm really glad you chose us, Rachel, to come park your license here for this time in your career. It's exciting to watch. It's exciting to be part of. And I really appreciate you letting us be on this journey with you.
Well, I appreciate you for all that you've done for me and all that you've poured into me and taught me, and the space that you provide for us to be humble and learn and grow and not have to worry about, any judgment at all. We get to all go through the fight together. So thank you for providing that space.
It is my life's work. So it's my honor. Thank you. Well, we're going to wrap up this episode with a huge gratitude to Rachel for giving us her time. I hope that if you've listened, that you've been able to pull a couple of nuggets out to put in your back pocket and pull out when you need them. Rachel is a wonderful example of what is possible. And again, I wish you guys could know her the way that I do. So follow her, check out her success in the next few months. I see all that stuff on the horizon. So I think all that's coming, and it's going to be really amazing to behold. So thank you, Rachel, for coming and being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
As always, it is our pleasure to provide content that you can come back to every single week and learn about different topics, some about real estate, some not. Some of them are funny, some of them are sad, but that's just the human journey. And I can't think of a better career and industry to become a better human than the industry of real estate, to learn all about who you can actually become. And that's really my fascination with all of this. So if you're listening, you can come back every single week and catch our next episode as we talk more to new agents, experienced agents, and overall coaches in the industry, just about what's going on in the real estate industry and how it might be right for you. So thank you always for being a supporter and listener here at Game Changer Real Estate Podcast. We'll catch you on the next one.